Let's now organize the lighting of our scene for path tracing. I'm gonna go ahead and first organize the outliner. Let me bring down the details panel, and I'm just gonna select this foliage actor and move this to a different folder. I'm gonna call this folder as foliage, and let's close this thing. Next in, we have some Minerva assets. First, I'm gonna select the static mesh and press F to focus. Yeah, it's the cover asset. I don't need that. I'm just gonna delete it. And I'm just gonna now select all these Minerva assets from the outliner, including these two, the sci-fi rovers, okay? I'm gonna move them to the folder of Minerva assets, and let's close this folder. And next up in here, we have this plane. I'm gonna press F to focus. Yeah, that was just for demonstration. I'm gonna remove that as well. And I think I can get rid of the landscape as well. I'm just gonna delete it. And next in here, we have some point lights. I'm just gonna select all the point lights and move them to a different folder. I'm gonna rename this folder as artificial lights. There we go. I'm gonna move this folder to the folder of the night scene that we have for Lumen, okay? Now in here, you can see that we have some lighting elements for the night scene, and we have the artificial lights as well. I'm gonna select these 3 point lights that we created for the first shot and delete them. I'm gonna also get rid of the rectangular light as well. So let me just now adjust my view here. And I think now we should start to light up our scene for path tracing. I'm gonna open up this path tracing folder for the night shot that we created in the first shot. First, I'm gonna get rid of these 3 point lights. I'm gonna delete them. I'm gonna remove this rectangular light as well. And I think we adjusted a few parameters in the exponential height fog, so I'm just gonna delete it. And I'm gonna remove the HDRI backdrop as well. We'll just duplicate these two from this folder and move them in here. Okay, so I think now I have everything that I need to light up the scene for path tracing. I have the directional light, I have the exponential height fog, the HDRI backdrop, the post-process volume is the same as well, and we have the skylight as well, okay? But there's still something missing in here, and that is the artificial lights. I'm just gonna open up this folder, select all the lights, press Ctrl D to duplicate them, and I'm just gonna move them to this night scene folder, and I'm gonna move them to a subfolder and rename this as artificial lights. There we go. I'm gonna now just hide the night scene in here that I have for Lumen, and the only lighting setup that is enabled right now is the night scene that we just created for path tracing. So let's now just go ahead and yeah, I think I should open up this menu and select the camera preview from here. And on the left hand side, our scene is now being illuminated by Lumen. And on the right hand side, I'm gonna enable path tracing. Let's give it some time to clear up all the noise so that we can have a side-by-side comparison. Okay, so straight away we can see a very noticeable difference. On the right hand side, we can see that perhaps the exposure is a little bit too much. But on the left hand side with Lumen, the exposure is not just that much as compared to path tracing. And on the left hand side, we have a little bit of a thickish sort of fog in here, but with path tracing, we don't have that much fog, okay? So let's now adjust the lighting elements for path tracing. First, I'm gonna adjust the exposure. I'm gonna go into post-process volume. Let me bring up this details panel in here. I'm gonna open up exposure in here. Let me just bring this a little bit up. And right now the exposure is set to -2. I'm gonna bring this further down to, I don't know, -3 perhaps. Yeah, I think it looks good. How about -3.5? I think -3 will be good. Now, of course, this is no longer a side-by-side comparison anymore because when we adjusted the exposure in here, it's gonna affect both Lumen and path tracing. But I like this exposure and I think -3 is a good value. Okay, so next thing that we need to adjust in here is the height fog. I'm gonna bring down the details panel and select the exponential height fog. And I'm gonna open up the details panel. I'm gonna increase the density to, let's say, 0.035, I think. And let's give it some time to clear up all the noise so that we can see if it's a good value. Yeah, I think fog density looks good. So let's now move on to the other elements. Next up in here, you can see that on the left-hand side around this Minerva asset, intensity of light is not just that much in here, but on the right-hand side, you can see that the intensity of the point lights that we placed around this asset is a little bit too much. So I'm just gonna move down this details panel, select these artificial lights. I think it's this one, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, these are the 4 lights. I'm gonna just open up the details panel, and I'm gonna change the intensity to, let's say, I'm gonna replace this 10 with 5. I'm just gonna go ahead and enable game view in here so that I can hide these lines and icons. I think I should bring this a little bit down. Maybe, I don't know, let's type 1 in here. I think perhaps it's still a little bit too much. So I'm just gonna type in 50,000 in here. And I think that's probably a little bit too low. So I'm just gonna type in here, let's say 150,000. That's still a little bit low. So I'm just gonna type in 250,000. I think, I'm not sure. Let me just bring this thing here and enlarge this window. Yeah, I think it's a good value. Yeah, I think it looks good. Okay, so I'm just gonna split this window again. And next up in here, we can see that the point lights that we placed around this asset for Lumen are perhaps a little bit too intense for path tracing. So I think these are last 4 lights in here. I'm just gonna select them from the outliner. Yeah, these are the lights that we placed around this asset. I'm just gonna go back into game view, and let's bring down this value to, I'm gonna type in 1 in here. It looks good. Let me just enlarge this window, and let's wait for a few seconds to clear up all the noise. No, I think it's still probably too much, so I'm just gonna bring this number down to, let's say, 50,000. And it's a little bit better, let's say 40,000. Yeah, I think it has started to look a lot better. So I'm just gonna leave this number at 40,000 in here. Okay. Now in here you can see that the glass material of this asset just doesn't look so good. It was fine for Lumen, but for path tracing, it is not working out. So we're gonna make our own glass material and then apply on the surface. Okay. I'm just gonna move this thing up, go into custom materials folder and create a new material. I'm gonna rename this as M underscore translucent. And let's open this basic material. I'm gonna enlarge this window, and in here I'm gonna change the blend mode to translucent. I'm gonna check this box to cite it, and I'm gonna scroll down to the lighting mode. I'm gonna change this to surface forward shading. Okay. Let's add a base color node, a metallic node, a specular node, roughness, and opacity, of course. And I'm gonna also bring in a refraction node as well, but it is disabled. For that, I'm gonna go into the details panel of this material, type in refraction. I think I need to select this one, and I'm gonna type refraction in here. And you can see it is right now set to none. I'm gonna change this to index of refraction. Okay, now you can see that this node is enabled. I'm just gonna promote this to parameter as well. And let's bring it down here. Let's create a material instance. I'm gonna open up this material instance. I'm gonna check all these boxes, and I'm gonna set the metallic value to 1. We'll set the value for opacity later. Let's move on. For refraction, I'm gonna set this to 1 as well. The roughness, maybe let's say 0.1, and I'm gonna set the specular value to 1. Let's close this window. I'm gonna save everything, and I'm gonna split this window. Let's enable path tracing in here, and I'm gonna come out of the camera, and let's move closer to this asset. I'm gonna select this asset, and in here, let me just enlarge this thing. I'm just gonna go ahead and select edit in blueprints. Now I'm gonna go into viewport, and select the static mesh from here. Let's bring it here. I'm gonna bring down this window, and I'm just gonna drag this translucent material and drop it in here. Okay. I'm gonna come out of this one, and now you can see that it looks a lot better in our shot and in the viewport as well. Let me just open up this translucent material instance. I'm gonna bring it right here, and I think I should set the opacity to, let's say, 0.1, I guess, or maybe 0.05. I don't know. I think 0.05 is a good number. Let's enlarge this window, and I'm gonna have to wait to clear up the noise, but I think it looks good already. Yeah, looks pretty good. Let's save everything. Okay, I'm gonna go into the sequencer and let's see how this shot actually looks like. Move my playhead, and yeah, I think it looks good. For some reason, you can see that uh, our spotlights are beginning to disappear at this point. Let me just adjust the timeline. You can see that these point lights are visible at frame number 56, but at frame number 58, you can see that the spotlight just disappear out of nowhere. If I'll move my playhead a little bit further around this frame number, you can see that the same thing is happening with this overbike as well. The spotlights are still there, but for some reason, the scattering is just not working at that distance. That is actually because there is no volumetric fog in that area. If I'll just go ahead and select the exponential height fog, where is it? There we go. And bring up the details panel in here. Let me just bring up this window as well. And if I'll just scroll down and increase the start distance in here, you can now see that we have that volumetric scattering back in our shot, okay? But if I'll just reset this value, you can see that now we no longer have that volumetric scattering, okay? So I'm just gonna keep the start distance here, but with this increase in start distance, I can now see these light shafts coming in and they're pretty strong and I don't really want them to be this intense. So for that, I'm just gonna increase the fog height fall off, and now you're gonna see that it looks a lot better. One other thing that I like to adjust in here is the intensity of the point lights attached with these rovers as well. These sci-fi rovers, you can see that the light intensity is a little bit too much. So I'm just gonna bring down the details panel in here. Come on. And I'm gonna go into my Minerva assets. Let's scroll down. And I'm gonna select these point lights from here. And I'm gonna bring up the details panel. Let's bring this intensity down to, let's just remove a 0 from here. I don't know, maybe not. I think the intensity is fine for this one, but we're gonna have to adjust the intensity for this one. So I'm just gonna go ahead and select these point lights. I'm not sure which one is which. I'm gonna disable game view. Yeah, it's this one. Let me bring up the details panel and let me just enable game mode again. I'm gonna bring down the intensity to, let's say, let's remove a 0 from here. Or maybe just type 5000 in here. Yeah, I think it looks better. Let's type in 1000. That's perhaps a little bit too low. 2000. Yeah, I think now it looks a lot better. Okay. So that's pretty much it for this lesson, and I'll see you guys in the next one.